The following is a HoopBall presentation.
Raptors take it on the chin, 122 to 113 and a humdinger. What are you gonna do? Welcome to the HoopBall Toronto Raptors podcast. I am here with Kieran Smythe.
What's up, everybody?
And Ben Harrison.
Good evening, folks.
And you can follow us on the podcast here on Twitter and Instagram at HoopBall Raptors. That's at HoopBall Raptors. And Kieran, do you want to tell the people how they can find you on the interwebs?
On Instagram, I'm at KDilla1981 and Twitter at K_Dilla.
Ben, how can the people find you if they're looking for you?
Yes, indeed. Twitter and Instagram, same thing. It's at Benny and the Raps.
Excellent. And if for some reason you want to see what I have to say, it's at Brendan Hodgins. That's at Brendan Hodgins. Hodgins is Hodgins. And, of course, if you have a minute and like basketball, please head over to the mothership, hoop-ball.com. That's hoop-ball.com for DFS, fantasy, betting advice, and all things basketball. hoop-ball.com. Well, guys, kind of what we expected happened here. But first, I'd like to touch on some of the news from earlier in the day with Freddie VanVleet and Bembry getting suspended. Now, I know I mentioned when we were doing the last broadcast that was a possibility, and it turns out, it's for leaving the bench. But one thing that I saw brought up, and I thought was kind of funny, someone said, well, you know what, at least VanVleet had was polite enough to put his mask on before he ran over and get involved.
Yeah, do we know if he would even have been back today? He might have still been.
He would not have.
Yeah.
So the technicality. So Bembry served his for this game. Technically, VanVleet won't serve his until he's healthy enough to play.
No, just lie and say he's ready to go one game ahead of time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that works, but I'm not sure if he gets cleared by a doctor or something and they tell the league that he's available. Or if they can just be like, yeah, he's fine.
He's fine, trust us.
Look at him.
Yeah.
Jumping around.
Well, did you see the way he ran over to help out, Trent? He's good to go. Give him a suspension.
Yeah, there you go. So this game, Kieran, sort of went as, this was expected, and you got your wish here. The Raptors lose one that helps them go towards, getting that lottery pick. Did you see, anything in particular for this game that you think needs to get talked about, or is it pretty much just steady as she goes?
Well, it's like the last few games, it's always been sort of the story of a few individual accomplishments and highlights. No difference here. Not a great team game, but obviously Boucher was just ridiculous. Career game, 38 points, 19 rebounds. Couldn't get the 40-20, but, that was amazing. 19 rebounds. That's like half of what we normally rebound, almost half of our rebounds tonight. So still lost the rebound battle. Siakam had another, pretty solid game. Really nice game. He got a good 27 points this time. Finally hit a 3 after missing, I think, 12 straight. And only took 2, which was nice. He wasn't forcing them up like a few other guys were. So, that was a good takeaway. I liked what I saw from Flynn early on, making a lot of plays. I think he had six assists in the first half, ended up with only 8, and sort of disappeared at the end. Same with Trent. He wasn't much to be seen. OG was forcing up a lot of shots, ended up shooting under 30% from the field. So, there was a lot of just kind of chaos. The defense wasn't gelling here and there, but, Bain sort of slipped from his last couple of decent games. It wasn't an awful stat line for him, but just, not what we can or hope to expect from him. So, overall, not a great game, but, a couple of great games for two of our guys.
Yeah, just so people know, the Raptors were down to 8 guys today because of COVID protocols, and then injuries, and then Bembry being suspended. So that's why the stat lines look a little funky, and my guys played some interesting minutes. Ben, did you take a picture of Boucher's stat line and send it to whoever you're playing this week?
That's right. Yeah, he's been kind of like the Raptors, up and down all year. There were a few times I wanted to drop him, but did he ever come through tonight for the fantasy GMs? Very nice to see. Yeah, definitely going to put a point on the win for me this week, I think, if all goes well.
And then you can also take a picture of Siakam's and send that over too.
That's right. Yeah, I loaded up. I even thought of picking up Malachi Flynn here for the for a short little stretch, but we'll see if that happens. Yeah, not a bad game though. I mean, well, pretty awful, but I thought they did okay considering, like you said, they only had 8 guys. Not a bad game from my 2 fantasy players, I should say.
Well, I think we're at a point now where pretty awful games aren't that bad. It wasn't completely awful, so yeah, we'll take it.
Well, Kieran, kind of like what you said.
Yeah, it's kind of like you said the other day. Like, I've kind of given up on, I'm no longer watching for wins and losses, right? Like, I'm just hoping to see some good things every night. Like, hopefully some spunk out of the new guys, the young guys. It's fun to watch OG keep developing a little more on offense. Yeah. These heavy doses of Malachi Flynn. As much Gary Trent Jr. as we can see is great, but
fortunately not tonight.
Yeah, he was pretty bad tonight. Yeah, not tonight. What did I see? He started off 0 for 5, didn't finish much better.
1 for 7 from 2, 1 for 7 from 3.
Yeah, pretty rough shooting night. And he had been pretty good. I think he had 50-50 shooting splits coming into this one.
Yeah.
As a Raptor anyway. But so yeah, not a great game, but we did see a few nice things. I did take a few funny notes of the pregame prop bets that they had on this one, just to see if I could find some good stuff there. So a few of the ones I put down: Aaron Baines, just to get double-digit rebounds, is a 10-1 bet, and that's pretty crazy coming for a guy who's 7 foot and supposed to be your starting center.
With enough minutes, he might
compared to the
Yeah.
Well, compared to the other side, Vucevic is favored to get 11.5 boards every game. What else did I see? The highest over-under for a Raptors rebounder was Siakam, with 7.5. Aaron Baines was only expected to get 4.5.
I think.
Boards.
And I don't think he got there.
Yeah, just under. Yeah. And the other one I put down for Kieran was Stanley Johnson, even with only 8 players. Vegas pegged him at 5.5 points on the night, and he actually paid off. He had 7.
Oh, it hits the over.
Yeah, he got a couple field goals. Didn't take any threes. There was a couple moments or a couple stretches where it was tough to watch him. He'd make a nice defensive play, but then just totally, I forget what it was. He bricked a bank shot and missed it. It was easy, and one layup. You could see he was, upset with himself. But I don't know. He just hasn't clicked, hasn't found an offensive rhythm. He's made a few nice defensive plays, but just on offense, just can't gel with the rest of the guys. So we'll see what happens with him.
Well, there you go. Did you see Utah having a perfect shooting night, 3 for 3?
Yeah, well, it is 3 and everything.
I sure did. I also saw they pointed out, did you know he's the number 1 selling jersey in Japan, ahead of Steph Curry and LeBron James?
Well, that's fair, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
What's his name? Yao Ming, Jeremy Lin, both in China were huge, and huge for basketball down there too. So same thing, it's the national pride. So I wouldn't doubt it. Or I mean, I obviously don't doubt it. I believe it.
You know what I'd like to see is Aaron Baines the highest selling. Is Aaron Baines the highest selling jersey in New Zealand?
It's a good question.
I'd say it's Steven Adams. He's a little bit better of a player.
Oh, yeah, that's fair enough. I was wondering how many countries we could get on the Raptors here.
Yeah.
Because I sincerely doubt Boucher is going to get the Canadian one, but it would be nice too.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, we got some beloved Americans on our team.
But,
I did see Gary Trent showed up to the game in a personalized Blue Jays jersey. He sure knows how to play to the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That was a nice one. I like that one. But, he's played inconsistent like the Blue Jays here today, so makes some sense. Like you were saying, Kieran, from before, too, the Raptors put up a lot of ill-advised threes in this game, other than pretty much Siakam in Utah. But that's one of those things, and because I remember thinking about this the last time we were talking about it. It's like, well, why are most of these guys aren't natural 3-point shooters in comparison to, like you say, like a Van Fleet or Lowry. But what I'm thinking that the key is here is they don't want to disrupt the offense. If this is what you normally do on offense, you don't want to change it up with a bunch of guys and have to change it back when the players that are supposed to be there get back. And it's also like, what's the point of creating this whole new offense and trying to get everybody converted over to it in a short period of time if you're just going to have to convert everybody back? So I can understand why they're jacking up the threes, but obviously it's going to result in games like this where you shoot 32% from three, which is actually the high lately. So
true, yeah, that's a scary point. But guys like Baines, I don't know why we have him shooting threes pretty much ever. Like if you just happen to be completely wide open. But the only one I saw him hit today was called off for a foul or something, and he banked it in. It looked horrible, and I just don't know. If you take away his threes, he would have been 3 for 4 on the night, 75%. Like, do more of that. Be down low, try to get those rebounds. Garbage points, pick and rolls. Anything, post moves, anything. Just do not like seeing him waiting on the perimeter and then getting 4 rebounds for us in a game.
I wonder if there's something to that, like if he's being asked to do it, just because it seems peculiar. Like, you're right. I don't understand why you have a guy that's 7 feet tall standing on the perimeter when he is not a 3-point shooter at all.
Mm-hmm.
And they just leave him open. Like when he's out there, no one guards him.
Yeah. I wouldn't either. Yeah, that's what you do. We'll make sure no one else shoots. By all means, please take that shot. Prove us wrong. And sometimes he will, the odd game, but roll those dice any day.
Yeah, and you can.
Yeah, it looks a lot like a pretty similar role to like Gasol had last year, right? When his 3-point shooting kind of started taking a downward trend.
Yeah.
They just started Raptors lined him up still at the top of the 3-point arc there. But teams just started leaving them open, though. I guess the idea, is always spacing, and, drag the center as far away as you can from the paint. But, it definitely doesn't work the same with Aaron Baines. He had an air ball, too, in the first quarter I put down there. But he had that one good year in Phoenix. That's the only time he's ever shot well from 3. And, it just hasn't translated this year.
No. Seems like
there were some other scary numbers I saw through the first 3 quarters. The important part of the game. OG, Gary Trent, and Flynn were 7 of 37 from the floor, and most of that was from 3. So not our best offensive game, that's for sure.
Yeah, you could also see if you take a look at the stat line here, and I kind of noticed it when I was watching. I'm like, are there any assists happening in this game right now? Now some of that was guys were. And the number, why it was artificially low a little bit, the assist number in comparison. I think what did it end up being here? Raptors ended up with 18 assists versus 35 for Chicago. Some of that was guys were getting wide open threes after a bunch of passes and breaking them. So that's going to bring down the assist numbers a little bit. But say you hit 5 of those, you still only have the 23 assists. And again, that's just something that's going to happen when your two main facilitators are out. So,
I think Flynn did a reasonable job, though, all things considered, given where he is at in his career and everything. I think he did a pretty good job, especially early on, like I was saying, of moving the ball around, getting some assists, and getting the ball moving a bit, and then towards the in the second half, we just kind of got pretty stagnant and then started to settle for a bit more just shooting threes, contested threes, or, off balance threes, things like that. But, all things considered, you got eight assists. Yeah, he did, he did all right for for replacing that role. We just only had him. We don't have anyone
exactly.
coming off the bench to also do that. We don't have, like we would have him coming off the bench or Van Vliet or backup Lowry. So
you
just
don't
with
even
the
have
one guy.
Bembry.
Right. Yeah. So with only the one, it was a painful watch, and you could see people like Anunoby. I found really struggled with that too, where he was just tried to make plays on his own, and it just wasn't happening for him.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like Ben, I think you might have noticed this as well. When you have guys like Siakam and Anunoby, whose first reaction is the drive to the net, kind of like on a straight line, it works once or twice, and then you kind of need to start being creative. Did you, when you were watching, did you see kind of like them maybe pressing a little bit? Like it worked for Siakam a little bit more because he kind of has that quick move, but did you see Anunoby maybe pressing a little bit?
Well, Anunoby definitely was pressing. At the start, it kind of looked like he was going to, take advantage of all the guys being out and have like a Kobe game, take 35 shots. What did he do in the first half? He was, I think 4 or 13 just in the first. So he was playing pretty ugly ball. But yeah, you're right. They do a lot of that drive and kick type offense, but it's just not connecting right now. Like they do that thing where they go hard at the rim and then they jump up, try and turn around and throw a pass to a guy, but it's not Kyle Lowry or Fred Van Fleet out there. It's Utah Watanabe and Stanley Johnson, and they just don't know exactly where they're going to be. Right? It's not the same, chemistry. So
I get frustrated when it looks like they're looking for that. It's like you took your 2 steps to drive in, knowing that you weren't going to go.
You can see it coming a mile.
I'm going to pretend to drive and then immediately kick it out, no matter what happens. And then when you start to telegraph that, that's when they start getting picked off, or you can't make good passes. They're not going to get a good catch, but they're still going to chuck up an ugly 3. So it gets pretty dangerous playing that style.
Yeah, like it'll work for a minute. Like if you're hitting your shots from 3, which sometimes, like it happened the other day, like, especially against Denver, that one game, the guys were hitting their shots, so it looks like this great offense.
Yeah.
But if if you're missing them at first and you don't, like, they need something like a pick and roll or guys coming down the baseline when you're driving, just somebody else going towards the net. It always just seems like it's one guy goes towards the net and 4 guys stand around the outside and just wait to see who's going to get past to.
Well, if we're going to talk about potential signings and whatnot, that might solve a little bit of that problem with Birch there.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Kem Birch is expected to sign with the Raptors after being waived by the Magic. He could still technically get claimed by somebody. He is an unrestricted free agent next year, but a young guy, and he's actually could be used by a lot of teams. Not generally a high usage guy, but he was coming from a team where, had Vooch, Gordon, Fournier at the time, a lot of players that, take up, a lot of usage space.
Mm-hmm.
Was average 5 points and 5 rebounds for his career, but again, the rebounds he wasn't expected to do as much because he's playing beside a guy like Vooch and a guy like Aaron Gordon there, who were high rebound guys. So, Ben, do you know anything about Kem Birch here?
I mean, I can't pretend I watched all his college tape or anything like that, but the little bit I do know, I saw some of the Orlando fans were a little surprised at the move because he came in right after the trade deadline and started a handful of games for them, and I believe he looked pretty good. Like he was, putting up double-doubles before they moved over to, what's his name, Wendell Carter Jr. after the trade and gave him the starting spot. So that's the little bit I do know. I mean, he's exactly what we need, right? Just a guy who can get boards and keep it simple on offense and, spend a little more time, diving at the rim, like you said. So hopefully, he clears waivers and we bring him in, all hands on deck. Like you saw tonight, we can't play with 8 guys.
I just hope we don't try to get him to start, well, not start, but to shoot threes, because he's not a 3-point shooter. I hope we don't try to, force that on him too. Like, let him be that guy. If Baines is going to be out there, but I think that'll be good if we can get him. Push Boucher a little bit more to the 4, and then have a bigger, stronger center, even if it's Baines or Birch, and just let Boucher be more of a power forward, which will be, I think, better for him. and let our big guys play like big guys.
Yeah, I believe he didn't attempt a 3 in his first 2 years, so I don't think they're going to be forcing him to do too many of that.
That's our man right there. Yeah.
Said,
and I think he attempted 0.7 threes per game like last year, so he's not known for it.
He's 4 for 21 this season on
there you go.
Shooting corner threes. I guess has become a sort of thing they're trying to work into his game. But yeah, I'd be okay if we just forget about all that. We got plenty of rebounding opportunities for you with all the threes the rest of the team shoots. And get those.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason why in Orlando he was a bit expendable, there was this whole thing about it, but is that with bringing in Wendell Carter Jr. and I believe management likes Mo Bamba a lot, but there was some things with the coach. The coach was refusing to play him because he liked Kem Birch, and so I think it was kind of like we're forcing your hand to do what we want here.
Yeah.
On top of that, but the main thing, I also remember Magic fans being really upset. Well, why didn't we trade him at the trade deadline? It was because of the way the moving pieces worked. They wouldn't be able to have enough guys dressed, so they couldn't do another trade and not get back a player. And they wanted picks. They didn't want players. So
right.
Yeah.
So the GM did the Brad Pitt move there from Moneyball, right? Just got rid of the guy.
Yeah, exactly.
What did you think? What did you guys think of that Chicago team, like that new look team after they loaded up? I was pretty unimpressed, to be honest. Like, they took a really, really big swing there, and it does not look like a team that's ready to contend. I don't think.
No, I mean they looked fine. Like they looked like they were starting to gel a bit more. But yeah, like I don't see how they're getting past any of the heavy hitters in the league. So
no.
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's going to be difficult for them to overtake some of those big guys. But part of this game, you could tell at one point, like they weren't ready coming right off the hop. The Raptors took pretty quick lead there, but they were able to break that lead pretty quickly. And then once they got up to a steady enough lead, I think they just took their foot off the gas.
Well, it was the young guys that kind of. I'm always looking forward to that. Like, you've heard so much about their young core there with Markkanen and Kobe White and Satoransky. And, yeah, none of them really jumped off the page for me. I don't know. I was expecting a lot more, I guess.
Well, part of that is Levine hasn't, apparently since the All-Star break, he has not been the same player. So I'd be interested to see how he progresses over the next, I think they have 20 games left or 20 some odd games. So could be interesting.
Yeah, 20 for us as well after tonight.
Yeah, and I think that the only conceivable way that the Raptors can overtake the Bulls for 10th at this point would be to go something like 13-7 in those games. So, Kieran, I think the tank might officially be on for you, buddy.
Yeah, as long as it is, and we don't start winning games and then ending up in obscurity or the best of the worst teams in the league that don't make it to the play-in. So. I think we should definitely even when we get Lowry and Van Vliet back, just don't overuse them. Let these other guys do their thing like we've been saying for a little while. And I don't think there's a need for seeing 38 minutes for Lowry or Van Vliet or anything like that for the rest of this season. Let them play obviously, and make some good games out of these things. But I think if we're gonna win, I think we should win with our B squad. And not try to put the best lineup out there all the time. Just try some different mixes and see what happens and how it works.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Like you were saying, at this point in the season, it's time to see what we have and for future pieces, right? We're going to want to see what Flynn can do when he's going to be the main guy, because at some point in his career, that's what you drafted him to do.
Yeah. And
then also Gary Trent Jr. Are we going to be making an offer at the end of the season? So, I think it's time we take a look at the rest of the week here, as we know we have at least they have the 2 more games. I'm to understand Gillespie should be available for Saturday's game, whether or not they're really going to play him.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a whole other thing. And there's an off chance that Kem Birch, but I don't think he'll be available for Saturday's game. Saturday's at Cleveland, another team that is in full tank mode, so this will be a battle of the tank modes again, assuming Toronto goes into that.
Trent better not hit any buzzer beaters this game, I'll tell you.
We'll tell the refs to call it this time, Kieran.
Yeah. No more letting that stuff go at the end of the game. It's not the playoffs.
Yeah. And then playing the Knicks, who are squarely in the playoff lineup or playoffs at this point. With 8 p.m. game there on Sunday. Ben, is anything coming up that you specifically want to see in these next two games?
Well, we'll see if OG Anunoby chokeslams another guy on Cleveland. that last game got a little rough. I remember a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know. That'd be something to watch. Not too much. It's like we said, just keep looking for some bright spots out of the young guys. Definitely like to see a better game out of Gary Trent Jr. Coming off this one. Hopefully he can get right back to it, put up 20, 25 points. That'd be nice. Same thing with Chris Boucher, really. Like, if we could see him have 2 games in a row, that'd be something special. So.
Yeah, maybe not 38 and 19, but it would be nice to see some consistency there.
I'll take a double-double.
Yeah, instead of 7 and 4 again, like we've seen, some nights after he has a good one. But.
Like a regular double-double.
There still won't be a bunch of the guys back, so he should get a little bit of usage in there. Anyways, that's kind of what we have to look forward to for the rest of the week. Not too much that needs to be addressed or looked at with the team, other than the stuff that we've already harped on. So
just get people back to being healthy and
and you could tell like that was something with Anunoby as well. It's like these guys that are Siakam seems to have refound his game a little bit, but it was you saw with Van Fleet before he went down hurt, and with OG they still haven't quite gotten full wind and full legs back. So let's just focus on getting healthy and progress into the end of the season here. Anyways, thank you everybody for listening here today. As usual, I am here with Kieran Smythe.
We'll see you soon.
And Ben Harrison.
Have a great evening.
And we hope you all have a lovely weekend. As always, we love you, B, and have a good night / good morning, depending on when you're listening to this. Cheers.
This has been a HoopBall presentation.